It's good to be back. It's good to be back. And UFC 300, oh man, what a card. Okay, did UFC 300 live up to the hype? Did it live up to the absolutely scorched earth MMA that we have had for the last month? And the next couple of Apex cards we're going to get, all of that was resting on the back of UFC 300. We have waited a lot of nights for this, and I will be honest, before the Rakic Yuri fight, I was not feeling it. Let us talk about all of UFC 300. A lot happened, right? Where do we start, okay? Aljamain Sterling was boring as hell. Let's start off with Aljamain Sterling. He was absolutely boring as hell. He doesn't want fans. He absolutely does not want fans. I don't know why he bothers on YouTube. He does not want to be a likable fighter or human being at all. He never, ever wants another shot at a title. He cannot see what is happening to Belal Muhammad and put himself in that position. He's incapable of that thought. He never wants another shot. Boo Aljamain Sterling. Boo him until he retired. Jessica Andrade versus Rodriguez. It was kind of boring, yeah? Renato Moicano, funny as hell on the microphone, goated on the microphone, but this new style that he's going to implement, this way of wrestling that he is going to implement, it just sucks the life out of the room, man. Like, boo Moicano for his fight style. Honestly, if he has one more sleeper fight like that, one more, he's going on the list. And Moicano, please, man, do not make me put you on the list. You do not want to be on the list, Moicano. Right, so before we got into Yuri versus Rakic, I was like, look, all right, this is how the card was playing to me. UFC 300 was Figgy versus Cody Garbrandt. And it was fun, but it was expected. You know what I mean? It was fun, expected fun. And then it was Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Really fun. Really, really fun. Bobby Green just jabbed the life out of Jim Miller. I wish, though, that Jim Miller had taken that opportunity to maybe retire in the octagon. I don't know if he was actually capable of even doing that after the amount of damage that Bobby Green put on him. So fair enough if that's the reason why we didn't get Jim's retirement right there. But it would have been a beautiful thing for him to say goodbye, covered in blood at UFC 300. But it is what it is. Then you get Jessica versus Rodriguez, right? Buzzkill. Absolute buzzkill. Moicano. Buzzkill. Buzzkill. Great on the microphone, but a buzzkill of a fight. Then Diego versus Sadiq Yusuff, right? Great. Firstly, Diego, amazing work, but it went for a minute and 30 seconds, you know? It was good, but I was like, shit, you know, like I could use a fucking fight, please, right? It's been like, at this point, it's been like an hour since Bobby Green jabbed the face off Jim Miller. I could use a fight, please. We've been sitting here a long time. And like, Diego just sleeps Sadiq in a minute and a half. It's like, oh man, you know, that's disappointing, right? And then you got Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. And now this one was interesting, right? This one was fun. But it did look like a man was beating the living piss out of a small child, right? That's the only way to describe that fight. It looked like Kayla Harrison was the roided up gym junkie that just takes out all their 9-to-5 anger on the new kids that come into the gym. It looked like Holly Holm had no business of being in there. And I'm like, Holly Holm, yeah? Holly Holm, she knocked out Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm has headlined every second Apex event. This is Holly Holm, like, she is well established in the UFC by now, phenomenal kickboxer. Really learned her way around the grappling side of MMA. Holly Holm is not an incompetent fighter. Kayla Harrison made her look like an incompetent fighter. That's how good Kayla Harrison is in there, man. It was just 10 minutes of dominance, right? Number one, let's start off with this. Kayla Harrison is the current champion at women's bantamweight. She is just the champion of a essentially dead division, okay? There's no need to have the formality of putting the belt on her. Kayla Harrison is the champion, right? Raquel Pennington doesn't stand a chance, but she does deserve a shot. She is the number one contender, so she deserves a shot to go ahead and become the champion. Good on Raquel Pennington, right? Juliana Pena. fuck her. Fuck her. She has like zero technique or skill, right? She got absolutely just demolished by Amanda Nunes when Amanda Nunes just decided to try a little bit. She got absolutely demolished. She comes in swinging windmill punches like someone who's just watched fighting on YouTube and thinks they can have a go at it. That's Juliana Pena's style. So she has no chance against Kayla Harrison. So give Raquel Pennington a shot. She's earned it. No chance. And then after that fight, Kayla Harrison versus Sean O'Malley. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I think Kayla Harrison could take down Sean O'Malley and ground and pound him. I think Kayla Harrison could beat Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's really good, right? So anyway, we had all that happen. And then we get to Aljo. He's just dog shit. He's very, very good. Aljamain Sterling is a very good, technically skilled fighter. He is amazing at the rules that are at the UFC of MMA. If he was at one championship, he'd get his head kneed off. He would get his head kneed off. But in the UFC, he's very good. He's horrible to watch. He is an absolute card killer. Dog shit performance from him. And Calvin Kattar as well, right? He's lost it. He has lost his edge. Calvin, you're a boxer. Throw a jab. Jab him. Jab, Calvin. Jab, jab, jab. Why were we not throwing the jab? I don't understand. Calvin Kattar would feint. Aljo would bite on the feint. And then Calvin would feint again and just continue to feint until Aljo was like, oh, I've had enough of this, and shoot a takedown. Calvin Kattar, I understand why he's lost his edge. He's been in a lot of wars. He's had a lot of surgeries. He's old for an MMA fighter. I get why he's lost his edge, but he has lost his edge. And Aljamain Sterling does not want another title. He doesn't want another title shot. He wants to hug his way to victories and then cry about the UFC not giving him one. You're not entertaining, mate. Right, so by the end of Aljo's fight, I was sort of angry at UFC 300. I was just annoyed at the whole thing. I'm like, this has been kind of boring. But then, Yuri versus Rakic starts and UFC 300 starts. Yuri Prochazka was 100% robbed against Alex Pereira. Okay, we need to do that rematch, right? Ankalaev, who? Yuri can just go on for days, mate. Do not stop the fight until Yuri Prochazka looks like Justin Gaethje against Max Holloway, right? Looks like Bryce Mitchell against Josh Emmett. That's when you stop a Yuri Prochazka fight. That is when it's Tony Ferguson against Michael Chandler. When it's that level of unconsciousness, only then do you stop a Yuri Prochazka fight. Until then, Mark Goddard, you dog, let him fight. Let him fight until he honestly, even like with Zhang Weili, like you could choke someone out and they can be unconscious. They might wake back up and keep fighting. You know? Let Yuri fight. Yuri is there to fight, no matter what. Oh my God. Is there any chance of getting Yuri versus Vettori just for fun? Didn't Vettori fight at 205 against Paulo Costa when Paulo Costa just refused to lose any weight at all? Just for fun. Do a BMF title. Make it, just start throwing BMFs around. I just want to see Yuri versus Vettori beat the piss out of each other. That would be amazing. So that was great. And you know, my Serbian brother in arms. My Serbian brother. Don't worry about it, mate. Just bounce back. We'll be right. Keep pushing forward, you know? We're Serbian. We lose. It's what we do. Look how big the empire was. Look at it now. You'll be right. Moving on, right? Then Bo Nickal, right? Bo Nickal has made the list. Bo Nickal, you're on the list. You're right there next to Garbrandt and Bilal. You're on it. Boring. I get it. Wrestling's big in the USA, but I'm sorry. Striking is big in the rest of the world because it's fun. Now, Bo Nickal, you can't control. You use this excuse, Bo Nickal. You use this excuse of I just fight who the UFC gives me. You can't control where the UFC puts you on the card, but you can control who you're fighting, Bo Nickal. You can control that. Say no to cans. Say no to them until you get a challenging opponent. When your coach tells you not to take that fight, that's the next fight that you say yes to. Say no to everything else. And then fight that guy. Fight him. Not wet blanket him. Fight him, Bo Nickal, on a prelim. And try and win a single fan over. Because you are on the list. And you deserve to be on the list. You're pay-per-view poison. You're boring, Bo Nickal. You're boring. The UFC, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to get so much hate for this. But I'm going to say it. The UFC was absolutely right to put Bo Nickal where he was on the pay-per-view. Because if they didn't have that Yuri Prochazka fight on the prelims, the whole prelims would have been dead. It would have killed all the hype going into 300. Now, 300 ended up being a lot of fun. 300 ended on a high note. We're going to get to, now that we're past this section of 300, we're going to get to it, right? It's 300 ended really, really strong. But imagine, right, if they'd flipped the Bo Nickal Yuri fight. You would have had an amazing pay-per-view, but shit, the prelims would have been a real slog to get through. Oliveira versus Tsarukyan. Man, things start to pick up here, don't they? Oh my God, what a fun fight. What a fun fight. The axe kick from Tsarukyan, the ground and pound, the submission attempts. BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it doesn't exist. It literally does not exist. It's a figment of the fighting community's imagination. With Tsarukyan and the Wei Li fight and Volk in the past and Tony Ferguson being able to get out of that armbar against Oliveira, all you have to do is just accept in your mind that there is no such thing as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you will get through it. You just choose to get through it. You just say to yourself, I'm not being choked out. My arm's not going to snap. And you'll just get through it. It was incredible. Such a fun fight. Right now, I've seen the fight once. And I do think Tsarukyan won. By this much, but just a sliver, I think he won. If it was over at 1FC, Oliveira would have kneed his head in. Would have fucking kneed his head in that north-south position. Or maybe not, because Oliveira loves to chase chokes. But either way, if this was at 1, Tsarukyan would have lost. But it's in the UFC. Tsarukyan won by just this much. But very, very close. I'm going to watch it again today, right? Then we get to the absolute banger of the BMF. Listen, everybody, just slow the fuck down when we talk about this BMF fight, okay? Number one, I know that I said that Max Holloway was going to end up like Tony Ferguson and get retired in this fight, and I was wrong, okay? I know what I said, and I was wrong, right? But everyone needs to chill the fuck out. There's all this talk going around online of like, Gaethje was never that good, okay? Max did an amazing job. It was one of the best performances we've ever seen from Max Holloway. He did a phenomenal job. I do not want to take anything away from Max Holloway. He did a brilliant job. He broke Gaethje's nose early in at the end of round 1 with just a fluky spinning back kick. Not a fluke that it landed, like Max was throwing that again and it was landing. The fact that he hit the nose and broke Gaethje's nose at the end of round 1 really set a bad tone for this fight. I think that really shook Gaethje and also really hindered his ability to breathe, right? And obviously it hindered his ability to breathe. But what I'm saying is, Gaethje pushes forward with a lot of power. It's a lot of deep breath and push forward. And he wasn't able to do that with a broken nose. And then in round 2, Max Holloway, I poked the fuck out of Gaethje twice, right? So you've got a Justin Gaethje who is severely compromised by 2 horrible eye pokes and a broken nose. Now, Max did all that damage to him. Max broke his nose. I get it. But it was lucky that it landed right on the nose, right? And he then went ahead and poked his fucking eyes out, right? And then, somewhere in like the 3rd round, Justin Gaethje puts his leg down and he's like, something happened to his leg, right? So I'm not making excuses. I know I sound like a UFC fighter who's like, I'm not making excuses, but here are all the excuses. God damn it. Shit. Also, all I'm saying is chill the fuck out with Justin Gaethje was never that good. Justin Gaethje is a phenomenal fighter. Max Holloway might just be a clean, better fighter. Most of the time, Max Holloway is just a better fighter. Fair enough. All I'm saying is chill out on the Justin Gaethje was never that good. Justin Gaethje is still and was and is a phenomenal fighter. Phenomenal fighter, okay? Max beat him on the day. Well done to Max. Good on him. Max did eye poke him and was lucky enough to break his nose in the first round. Brilliant. The finish, brilliant. The finish was absolutely amazing. I mean, that moment is going to go down in MMA history. It was so good, I don't even pay attention to the next fight. It was so good, I didn't even pay attention to the next fight. I was there with my family. We were all watching it. Everyone was so hyped because of that fight. It was just insane. It was insane. Then you get to, let's just get right to the main event. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill's ego is going to take such a hit from this. The dude is one of the saltiest MMA fighters on the roster. If you do not acknowledge Jamal Hill as a walking goat, he seems to just hate you. You've got to throw flower petals at his feet, otherwise he just cannot stand you. The dude thinks that he is the greatest thing to ever happen to MMA, and if you do not recognize him as such, you're just an enemy of him. For him to get memed on with Alex Pereira telling Herb Dean to just chill the fuck out, mate. I got this. I know he kicked me in the balls. I'm gonna sort it out, man to fucking man. And to just lock eyes with Jamal Hill. Not even notice that Herb Dean is trying to stop the fight. Just fuck off, mate. I got him. And just fucking flatline him. It's the coldest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's the coldest thing I've ever seen in my life. And this is what I'm saying about UFC 300, right? It started off a little, and then it just rocketed. Even the Zhang Weili fight. I know I said I didn't watch it, but I mean, I watched it, right? There were moments in that fight where you're like, how is this girl still going? She was literally unconscious. She was literally unconscious. And then she starts to win, and then Zhang takes over with the wrestling. UFC 300 just, it got better and better and better. And then we get to the post-fight press conference. And bangers, absolute bangers are announced. Conor McGregor is coming back, you know? Dustin Poirier is getting another shot at a title for some reason. I mean, why not? You know, why not? This is the ultimate fighting circus now. You know, just give Israel Adesanya another shot. Just give John Jones a retired Stipe Miocic. Whatever. This isn't the PFL. We're not here. Bilal Muhammad can win 1,000 fights in a row. Fuck him. He's never getting a shot. Like, what? Ilya Topuria was sitting in the crowd like, holy shit, if I fight Max Holloway, I'm going to die. What a beautiful ending to UFC 300. Yeah. So, was it worth it? Was it worth everything that happened leading up to it? Or look back. I know we have goldfish memories in this sport. Look back at all those Apex Fight Night cards that we got. And was it worth it for what was essentially a great run after the Yuri fight? It ended great. UFC 300 ended great. Let me know down in the comments. What do you rate UFC 300, the entire card, out of 10? Let me know that down there in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And of course, I will see you all in the next one.